What do you say, everybody? Welcome to the Cubs Baseball channel. We're going to talk about Mike Soroka. Was it damaged goods? And should the Cubs be getting criticized for not doing more at the deadline now that he threw 2 innings and he goes straight on the IL? Jameson Taillon is not concerned at all about his rehab outing, says he's feeling good. So that is, I think, great news for the Cubs. This date in Cubs history. One of you guys in the comment section took a shot at me. I think it's pretty funny, and I'm going to talk about Javy Baez and tie that in. It's the anniversary of his debut against the Rockies all those many years ago, and that's it. And we're going to talk about the extension that Tom Ricketts gave Jed Hoyer. He spoke on that, and Kyle Tucker possibly getting an extension. I'll get it out. Anyway, all that here on the Cubs Baseball channel. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Thank you guys for hanging, and let's go. A little later than normal today, but I had to travel. Go Cubs. What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillespie, Cubs Baseball channel, at Broadcaster Mick on the socials. Love it when you get in the comments section. Excited about our Web3 home that we're going to start here really soon. It's actually being put together. And let's talk about some Cubs baseball. All right, let's just get into this right away. It felt like when I saw that Michael Soroka was put on the IL after just 2 innings, that maybe the Cubs got damaged goods, right? I mean, how could a guy get hurt that fast? I mean, he just got here, right? Well, he says that he felt fine going into the outing and that he was trying to maybe put a little extra oomph on the ball and all of a sudden felt his shoulder. That is not a good thing. And the shoulder injury is putting him, it's on his right shoulder, calling it shoulder discomfort, and he's going on the IL, got tight, never got untight, and you wonder like what the extent of this injury is going to be for Soroka, who has dealt with injuries in his career. Now, I wanted to clarify a couple things. When he was with Atlanta, 2018, he had a little shoulder inflammation, right? Went on the DL with that. But came back. 2020 is when he had his bad injury. And he looked like he was going to be one of the best pitchers in baseball. Had a torn right Achilles tendon. And it was season-ending surgery. And then he had another tear of it, a second tear, a re-tear. And that was in 21. And that one right there took forever. And if you know, Achilles heels are really tough. He had an elbow injury in 22. During his recovery from the Achilles tear. And so all of the injuries that he dealt with all seem to come from that Achilles. So this isn't an Achilles injury. He finally got healthy from that, had some hamstring tightness and right forearm inflammation in 23. That shut him down. 25. Had big beginning of the season. He had a bicep strain in his throwing arm. It kept him out in April, and then now this in August. This is a big one because, well, first off, I'm watching the guy pitch, and I'm like, okay, why is Ben Brown in there? Like I blink, and I'm like, then I thought, well, sometimes Craig Counsell likes to do this thing where he brings people in, and then like you get a couple innings and then you bring in the next guy, kind of that piggyback system. And now we're realizing that this guy's hurt. 2 innings, you gave up all that. You didn't take advantage of the trade deadline, according to some of you guys. And now the Cubs are kind of at a spot where they're right back to square one again. I really believe that Ben Brown's going to step up. I thought he pitched well his last few times out. There's just a look in his eye that's different to me. I think he feels like if he doesn't get it done now, he's going to miss this opportunity, and it's do or die time. And I think he's going to do. I mean, I just have this gut feeling that he's going to be okay. Now, is he going to be dominant? He doesn't have Cade Horton stuff. And I keep telling you guys, Cade Horton is a guy who I believe is going to be a future ace if he stays healthy. I really do. I don't think Ben Brown's that, but I think that Ben Brown at his best is good enough. And with this determination and the kind of the up and the down and up and the down, and now the Cubs have a spot where they need some help. He's got another opportunity. And it feels like a lot of the depth that the Cubs have had is really being tested right now. So we'll keep an eye. Remember, Javier Assad's going to pitch on Wednesday. At least he's scheduled. And then Jameson Taillon pitched, and he got murdered out there. Like, it was terrible. But he's like, hey, don't worry about it. I'm okay. He said, and this is a guy that the Cubs need in the rotation. And remember, now he's out with a calf strain, so it's not an arm injury. Hurt it while he was jogging. And he goes out in AAA Iowa on Sunday, and he just gets lit up. 7 earned runs on 7 hits, 2 home runs. And that was all in 3 innings. And the funny thing is, like, as a big leaguer, he did so many nice things. Like, he brings in this coffee truck for everybody. It's an early game, like, hey, I'm taking care of the minor league guys. And then he just gets pummeled. So he says this, and I kind of believe with him. He says, I actually felt pretty good. He told Matty Lee of the Sun-Times this. Thought the delivery was good. Calf was good. But the first one, it's more important to check the box, make sure we're healthy, get back into the flow of it. So at least that's positive, right? You talk about him, being in the middle of a 4-year deal here. The Cubs really wanted him to kind of look like he did last year. And honestly, he's been consistently good. I mean, even times this year, I would even put him at the great level, not elite, but he's hit that a few times. But for the most part, he's about average. They need that right now. They need average right now. And him being healthy, the sooner he can get back and not look like he did on Sunday in Iowa, the better this team's going to be. Somebody in the comments section was talking about me. Minor League Mick. There he goes again. You know who you are. Pushing these, like me pushing these minor league guys. Let me tell you something, okay? Let me be clear on a couple things. I've been doing this for 20 years, right? Working professionally in baseball. I've been Cubs fan for 40. When I didn't work in the baseball profession, I didn't understand how the organization worked, right? I didn't know that the way that roster management takes place. I didn't know about budgets and how all of that. And I had this grandiose idea that's like, hey, you know what? We don't have a good third baseman. Let's go buy one. It doesn't really work like that. You draft players and then you develop the players, and you try to develop players to all come in at the same time. And you want to teach them to play together and have like a winning belief, set up a culture. That's how the Cubs finally won a World Series. And the other part of it is that we want to go out in the trade deadline and we want to make things happen. And look, I'm guilty of that too. I wanted to make things happen at the deadline. But at the same time, I don't own the team. I'm not paying the bills. And the Soroka deal is exactly why you worry about going out. And think if they would have traded, this was, I'm not too worried about the Mike Soroka trade. But see if you made that same deal and you gave up Owen Casey, or you gave up Jackson Wiggins, or you gave them both up, who are going to be on your roster sometime soon. You're not only are you stuck with a guy that's hurt, but you also missed an opportunity to save money that you could spend on maybe paying Kyle Tucker. Not that they're going to do that, okay? And I'm going to get into that in a second. It's not that I'm a cheerleader for the minor league guys. It's that you can't look at the roster, the 25 guys on the big league roster, and ignore the fact that you have 40 guys that are really on your roster. And those are the guys you can bring up and move around. And it's not like we're clutching prospects. It's that the 40 guys that you have are the guys that are on your roster, not just the 26 that are in the big leagues. And when you look at some of these teams, like what the Marlins just swept the Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays, and how many times are the Oakland A's good? And they're doing it with players that wouldn't even get a chance in these big markets because they have to let them play. And what we found out, and we saw it with Joe Madden when we built the Cubs, is that some of these guys can play and they can contribute. Moises Ballesteros had the biggest hit in the only win we had against the Brewers. And the only reason he got up there is because of an injury. They needed somebody. I just think there's some of that we have in our system that we need to take advantage of. And when the guys aren't producing in the big leagues, I know they're paid. That doesn't mean anything to me. What means something to me is who gets the W at the end of the day. And it just feels like sometimes that we're ignoring the fact that we have Owen Casey in the minor leagues. And you guys will see, I told you Pete Crow Armstrong, that took him a little while. But this guy's another, and you can take my word for it or you don't have to. But he's going to be another big-time performer. Now, that leads me into this date in Cubs history. And I'm going to tell you my story on this, just because because I am minor league Mick. 11 years ago, Cubs called up Javy Baez, and he was in AAA. They called him to the big leagues. He was 21 years old, and he ends up, going deep in the 12th inning, leading the Cubs to a win. Okay, Len Casper and I had worked together. He was the play-by-play voice of the TV. And every time the Cubs would call someone up, I'd hear from Len, a text or a call. Hey, what do you got on this guy? And when Javy got called up, and you can ask Glenn this, who's with the White Sox now. I said, I love this guy. I said, he's going to do something. I said, I don't know what it is. He'll probably strike out some, but I said, he's going to do something because this is how the guy is. He's just special in that way. He lives up to the moment. And then when he hit that home run, Len texted me. He was like, you're right. When you get to see these guys play day in and day out, the Pete Crow Armstrongs, the Owen Caseys, who you haven't seen yet, the Cade Hortons, the Chris Bryants, the Kyle Schwarber, who I called Babe Ruth before he even played in a big league game. Call him the Bambino because I saw it. You get an idea of how special some of the talent is that's here. And sometimes the Cubs, because they're big market, always think that the grass is greener somewhere else instead of what they have in their own system. And also it could be because the standard and the expectations are so high. They're worried that somebody's going to come up there and fail. I don't know. You're going to fail a lot in baseball, but you should be happy that the Cubs have players that I'm telling you are going to be good. And you can mark this video down and circle it and then talk to me in 2 years and let's see what Owen Casey does. I'm not always right. But when I feel this strongly about players, like I did Javy Baez, I'm pretty sure that they're going to be good. And that's how I felt about Pete Crow Armstrong. It's how I felt about Cade Horton. It's how I feel about Owen Casey. Just throwing it out there. Minor league Mick. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about was Tom Ricketts basically gave his reasoning for extending Jed Hoyer. He said he's done a nice job. He said he feels good about the overall health of the organization. And he said it's not just the wins on the field, but it's the quality of our minor leaguers. It's the quality of our draft the last handful of years. And he's been committed to getting better every day, and he just felt confident in that. He basically said that they've been thinking about an extension, that he likes Jed. He feels comfortable with Jed, and and I mean that's why when you're the owner, you make a move like that. I think if you ever met Jed, he's a great dude. Forget about the wins and losses. You'd run into Theo. Some days he says hi to you and he's a smart guy and he knows who you are. And some days he just doesn't talk to you. That's just his personality. You don't take it personal, but anybody that knows Theo knows that. Like, you may know him 20 years and he won't even speak to you. And then there's other days where he shows you that he's a genius and he's talking about, something that you mentioned to him 5 years ago. That's just his personality, and there's nothing wrong with that. Jed is always going to say hi to you. He's always a good dude, and Tom felt comfortable with him. Now, outside of that, Jed also had the tough job of getting rid of the Cubs that won the World Series and trying to rebuild, and we'll see if that happens, right? But that was Tom and the Ricketts family decision to make. Tom was asked about the trade deadline. He said, we really have a good team. We added to it. And he said he thinks it's going to be a great couple of months. I know you guys aren't real excited about the trade deadline. And what it comes down to is that they don't want to give up the organization's health on rental players. And I'm not saying that this is not my philosophy. This is what happened. They don't want to give up the organization's health for rental players. They were willing to make trades for some of these guys like Mackenzie Gore. And they just couldn't get a deal worked out. But they would have had control over. So if you're going to give up some of your good prospects, you just want something back in return. Anyway, Cubs, I thought last night's game was tough. I'm sick and tired of the Brazier, Thielbar, inning. Like those two, please just break them up, because the last two times that they've pitched, it's been a disaster. Did a couple videos on it. I mean, I don't know. Look, I'm sentimental. And the Rhino game mattered to me. I love Rhino. Like, in my Rhino hat, I wanted to win that one. I know they won it 2-2, but they didn't. And then they blew it again. So Cubs got to get back on track. And the other thing is that, Tucker, something just hadn't been right with him. It looks like he might be banged up or something. Cubs need their offense to turn the corner and get back to the way that they're capable of playing. And hopefully that happens tonight. Anyway, later show because I had to travel. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Thank you guys for being on the show. I love you guys. Thank you for being here every day. I got crazy coloring today because I'm just trying to mix things up, right? So we're going to mix things up, get back on track. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, comments, as always. Even the person that took that shot at me. I love all of you guys. Thank you for being here and making this part of your daily Cubs routine. Go Cubs.